When you make omelets every day for more than a year, you start to get sick of it. So I decided to broaden the search for an omelet that's not anything like the American, French, Spanish, or Japanese omelets. And my search finally came down to this. The recipe is straightforward. You're going to want 5 eggs, an equal part onion and green onion. You can kind of guesstimate the amount. Some cornstarch, and this is where the magic happens. I'll explain it in a second. Some soy sauce, a little bit of salt and sugar, some Chinese cooking wine, and a high smoke point oil. Now, the original recipe calls for shrimp and ground pork. I like just picking whatever leftover stuff I have in the fridge. In my case, I have a little bit of ground beef. Today's topic: be selfish, be dismissive, and communicate less. Those are the keys to success. But first, let's prep. Take a teaspoon of cornstarch, teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of sugar, splash of soy sauce, and a splash of Chinese rice wine. Put that in with your meat, and just let it sit there for a minute or two. Honestly, this is the best part of the dish. You're gonna absolutely love it. Then we're gonna cut up the vegetables. Take your green onions and cut them into like 1-inch chunks. Split them down the middle if they end up being fairly thick and fibrous. They cook fairly quickly. And then just take your onion, slice it along the bias, make it some nice matchsticks. Now the first of the 3 points here is to be selfish. You gotta be selfish. You gotta look after yourself first, because nobody respects a man who doesn't respect himself. And you respect yourself by putting yourself first. Know what you want, take steps to achieve it, treat yourself as primary. Even if you're being selfless, put your own mask on before you put on those around you. That's standard airline safety procedure. Now, when I say be selfish, I don't mean to be a disrespectful ass. This isn't meaning go out with your buddies for beers during your anniversary. It doesn't mean avoiding your children because you want to go slay some strange. There's big events here that happen, there's important events, and I'm trusting you in being smart enough to tell the difference. I'm talking about the little things. I'm trusting your judgment on this one, that you can tell the difference between something important and something that your wife just tells you is important. So yeah, the kids are sick, I need you to take them to the hospital because I'm not there, is different than I don't want you to go out with your friends because I worry about you. When you're getting these little manipulative techniques or very unimportant requests for selflessness, you just ignore them, plow through. Be selfish. Be selfish. Be a little bit flexible when stuff's important. And here's the thing. When you act like this, those times when you act selfless, when you put other people's needs first for once, it stands out as being special. That's the problem with most guys. If you're the selfless floor mat, if you light yourself on fire to keep others warm, well then your act of help for your family, your loved ones, your wife, whatever, they don't mean a thing. Because it's basically free, so at this point it can be taken for granted. Don't ask your girl for permission to do anything. Just tell her what you're doing and when. And even then, it's only if the kind of thing she needs to know. If she's making dinner for you and she wants to know when you're home, I'll be home at 6, but you don't need to give her a laundry list of all the things you plan on doing when you're out. It's little things like that. At this point, we're going to take the 5 eggs and beat them into a pulp. We want no examples of whites. Everything should be emulsified nice and well. And then when you get a chance, you're going to take cornstarch, add it with a little bit of water, not very much, like a teaspoon and 2 teaspoons. And you're going to add it to here while you're blending it. Now, she's going to complain because women complain, but you just got to ignore that stuff. She's going to deliberately try and plan some things around your schedule. Ignore that stuff too. Tell her no. No is the most powerful word in the English language, and way too few guys use it. This part is where the magic happens. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that if you add milk to eggs or a little bit of water to eggs, it helps them prevent burning. But turns out when you add cornstarch with a little bit of water into it, it actually prevents the proteins in the egg from tightening up once you apply heat to them. And so it keeps them nice, light, fluffy, and it prevents the proteins from, I think it's denaturing. But it's the most amazing thing. You're gonna find you can brown these without getting that bitter crispy taste that eggs normally have. They're gonna be the lightest, fluffiest things you've ever had in your life. Totally off topic, but I'm probably gonna do coming forward is try this cornstarch thing with the other types of omelets, see how it changes their texture and how their cooking time and all that other nonsense. So feel free, experiment on your own and see what happens. Anyways, back to your regularly scheduled egging. This is traditionally done in a wok, but I'm gonna show you a quick cast iron pan method. Get the thing piping hot, add a liberal amount of oil to it, and heat it up until your chopstick starts to sizzle when you put it in there. You're gonna see a couple pieces doing it. Once that's done, turn the heat down to medium high, and you add the whole thing down, quickly mixed in at once. The next part's be dismissive and amused at anger. The funny thing, and people seem to understand this intuitively when you're dealing with a child, but with adults, we seem to lose our minds and forget all of this. When your woman's complaining about something, usually you, realize she's not after a solution to these problems, she's after validation. So if she's having arguments with you and 99% of the time it's over nothing, again, I'm gonna trust you're smart enough to know if these are arguments of any significance. She's not after resolution, she's after validation. Now, the worst thing you can do is reward this by offering validation, because all you've done is make her understand that the more she nags, the more she gets angry, the more validation she receives. Same thing when it comes to anger. Just because she's trying to argue, complain, or yell at you doesn't mean it warrants your attitude. Now you're gonna slowly pull stuff away from the center, letting the liquids flow back into the middle. Keep doing that, keep pushing everything to the outside. Once it starts to set, you're gonna make sure that all the vegetables and the meats are somewhat evenly organized. You're gonna cut this into big chunks. In my case, I usually stick with quarters, but in the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's just a presentation thing. Flip it over. Fry the other side. It's not gonna take more than a minute at this point. We're doing it in real time here. And then once that's done, you're done. Part of having frame is not letting other people rile you up so easily. And if you watched my last video on Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, I talked about it there too, and a lot of guys couldn't get it through their thick heads. Well, she hit him with the frying pan, or she hit him with pots, she's evil. I'm like, yeah, but this only works if you allow her to escalate. If things are bothering you that bad, just leave. At the same time, you need to get yourself to a place where it's almost amusing watching this person freak out like this. Because the stronger frame always wins in these engagements. And if you're generally watching a 4-year-old having a temper tantrum calling you a poopy head, it's much more likely that that person's gonna start laughing as opposed to you getting angry. Final thing, communicate less, not more. The whole world seems to have gone mad. Marriage counselors have gotten completely ridiculous. They think communication is the answer to problems. Well, that's the answer to women's problems, because the woman's problem is, I want to be validated. Your problem is, I want you to stop nagging and I need this problem solved. So if it's something to solve, just do it. If it's somebody wanting validation, well, they can act in a better, more valuable way in the relationship, or you can just not give it to them. And here's the worst example. You hear it constantly on middle-aged woman Twitter, where they want guys to talk about their feelings more. They want guys to feel vulnerable. They want guys to show their emotions. Ignore all that crap. That's the absolute worst fitness test you're ever gonna get from a girl. Remember, the correct answer is to agree and amplify. So what are you feeling? I feel hungry. I feel horny. Women don't want your feelings. They want their feelings reflected back at them. If they actually get your feelings, the first thing they're gonna do is find you way less attractive. Because a guy's feelings aren't crying. A guy's feelings aren't depression and sympathy. A guy's feelings are anger. A guy's feelings are sulking. We don't have attractive feelings, and that's why we just don't bother other people with them. That's what your friends are for. Now, I don't care who you are, this dish is damned amazing. Traditionally, you can mix it with a little bit of rice. Honestly, there's enough here to serve about 2 people if you wanted to. And it's the most delicious thing you've ever seen. I have never seen browned eggs that didn't have a hint of bitterness to them. So this cornstarch method is absolutely amazing. You're gonna eat it, The onions are gonna be nice, delicate, sort of sweet, not even crunchy. It's almost just melting in your mouth. And I don't even need to add a sauce or a seasoning to this. You just eat it as is, and it's absolutely perfect. Make it for yourself those days that you're absolutely tired of having to eat another 6-8 omelet, another 6 pickled eggs, or just raw eggs if you're one of those weird guys. So I'm gonna leave you with that one. Try it out, you're gonna love it. Keep the dogs away from the dish. I was surprised at first when I did this because I thought those onions were probably gonna have a raw edge to them, but it's amazing. Like, they're perfectly cooked through, they're sweated out, and they have just a hint of sweetness to them, which is absolutely killer. On that note, shout out at this point. Patreon's going strong. We're up to like over 160 guys now, and we're doing some amazing work in there. We've got our private locker room set up. Guys are swapping notes, solving their relationship problems, and we're becoming the go-to spot for guys who are looking to fix their lives and to thrive at like 110%. So feel free, come on in, check it out. We're doing Q&As on every Friday, and you're gonna absolutely enjoy it, I guarantee it. But on that note, I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.